Hi guys, Mr. Jaeger here, and welcome to day 3. Yes, day 3. You know what, we're gonna try and go this way. I have the ability to record. So this is day 3. I apologize for day 2 being so late, but we're here, and we're gonna make day 3 as quickly, but as efficiently as possible. And, oh, I like this. I like this a lot. So this is Anvil Aerospace, the current proprietors of the UEE's naval contract, and arguably the better of the two in terms of military ships. If I had to say if I had a preference, I'd go towards Anvil. A number of these ships I own as well, which is hilarious, but still. Yes, the absolutely fantastic military ship developers, but also some civilian markets. Of course, everyone may recognize the big elephant in the room, the Carrack. The arguably, like, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the most anticipated ship of Star Citizen at its release. Like, there were loads of other ships out there that everyone was having a hankering for, but when the Carrack was teased back in, well, last year, everyone had a hard-on for this thing, and I can't say I blame them. It is a fantastic ship. I own one, and I'm sure many other people own them, and yeah, it is just beautiful. It's handy, it's versatile, it obviously works as a base, it just does a fantastic job. But, of course, that is not the only ship that they will be utilizing, so we're going to go quickly back to the maps, just because I have a sort of plan in my head. It's not perfect, but here we are. So the plan is basically we're going to kind of go, because at the same time it looks like, yep, the display is pretty much the same on the circles, so we are going to be basically rolling around. So what we're going to... Hello. I will save you to last, my little beauty. Yes, basically I had a plan of going around kind of in an anti-clockwise, clockwise fashion, then eventually going down into here. But yeah, I couldn't help but tease that, because sorry, that is my baby. If there was a fighter I was having a hard-on for right now, that is it, but we'll get to it later. So, yes, let us start with actually a very small but a very potent and very handy fighter, the Arrow. The Anvil Arrow is a very small fighter, but my god is it maneuverable. Having 2 size 2s, a few size 3 missiles, and by a little bit, a lot, and the potential to be the best little bastard on the display. You've got a couple of size 1 turrets on the top as well. It is, as said, very tiny, but it does the job. It is extremely maneuverable, looks amazing, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not much of a PvPer, but this is on the list of ships I'd like to own. It's a beautiful ship, and I kind of want one, but I'm also like, I'm just like,
I kind of want it, but I also am aware of how kind of, yeah.
it's kind of, yeah. 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 It is very, very, it's very specialized. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's not got much health, it's not got much shield strength. It is a light fighter. I'm not much of a PvPer, so I can't honestly say it's massive traits, but I can tell you that it is a weaker fighter, and that if you want to go toe-to-toe with other people, it's not a slugger. You'd have to kind of hit and run, but yeah, I love it. I like that kind of thing, but I'm not gonna lie, not as much as this little baby. Now this is my fighter, and I'm so proud of it. This is, of course, the Gladiator, and I urge many of you pilots out there, give this plane a go. Ship a go. It has 2 seats, cockpit for the pilot, and 2 size 1 repeaters for the turret. I'm hoping one day we can see a slave turret version of this, because that just bumps up the firepower. It is a brilliant ship with the capacity to do a shit ton of damage. It looks amazing. It has 8 missiles. For some reason, they decided to go with different types. Yeah, they go with a couple of ignites, and then there's a couple of other types. I'm not really great on missiles, but I know that there's 2 IRs and 2 sort of heat sensors, but you can, of course, swap these out. What I wasn't able to do, which is kind of disappointing, and I'm hoping that they can optimize this in the future, is for you to be able to swap out missile racks and instead turn them to gimbal points. Or you know, maybe even just take the missile points out and instead just replace them with hard points for weapons, because the firepower, admittedly, with the defense weapons is limited. You do start with these 2 Gatling guns, but I've replaced mine with tarantulas to try and bulk up the firepower. But I would happily sacrifice a few of my missiles to add maybe another 2 Gatling guns, or a couple of tarantulas for that. But that's not the biggest piece of pie in the entire Gladiators thing. Let's open up the exterior, and I guess I'll have to get in for this one. But no, the big selling point of the Gladiator, the cockpit is really nice. You've got a very good MFD display. They're all in front of you, and like, instead of like other ships where it's kind of like spread out, or they're above, or require you to look down, the bottom 2 you do have to look down to, which is a bit of a shame if you don't have a track IR. But that's kind of like not as bad. Has it open? Has it open? Has it open? No. Do I need to activate the power? That might be a thing. Can I activate the power on these things? I know they're the display models, so I could have to do that. But if we can, get the selling point for this. Alright, well, we're going to have to try and see if we can get it from our view here. But these babies are the reason why I love this Gladiator. That's 4 size 5 torpedoes. And they are retained. There we go. So they are the reason why this ship, in my opinion, is better than the Vanguard Hellbringer. Yes, the Vanguard does have more. There are objectively better points, but in terms of enjoyment factor, I love this aircraft more. I feel so much more fun flying this ship than I do flying in the Anvil. Flying in the Hellbringer. I keep wanting to say, yeah, I keep fucking it up, but yeah, Hellbringer. I know it's not its name, but fuck it. I like the. I can't stop calling it Hellbringer. But yeah, so that is the Gladiator, a beautiful piece of work, and my favorite ship in the roster of ships. So, obviously, we can't really ignore the elephant in the room. As said, this is, of course, the Anvil Carrack. The Carrack. And I will give you a baby studio tour of the ship. I mean, you guys know... hopefully, you guys know enough of these ships to realize what kind of potential this is, but we'll give you a quick, brief tour, because I like this ship, and it's really fun. So, in the ship, actually, there's 2... Actually, I can show you a little baby thing. So, when you're getting into the ship, if you don't know... if you got the ship, or if you don't have it yet, there are actually 3 ways you can get up to the captain's... to the bridge, basically. The first... Well, the first way is this elevator to the left. This is the fastest way, I'd say, to get into the ship. Like, to the bridge for the ship. The second way is for you to, obviously, if the doors want to work, bearing in mind this is the display model, so it's not quite... It's been used 1,000 times, so it's a little old. These are the individual cargo bays, which will eventually become... you'll be able to open these out and be able to, like, put stuff into, which will be very nice. I mean, you can already put stuff into it, but they'll be able to, like, modularly take them out, basically. Finally, so anyway, we come to the rear, and there's, like, 2 accesses for the engine room. Weapons rack over here, which is very nice. We utilized this once in BSI for an op, for the Org v Org our first, and it was a very nice. It was very useful because we were able to fill it up with gallants and the like, which was very pleasant. So anyway, you'll be able to access the elevator, if I can get to call it. I've forgotten how awesome this elevator thing was. This was one of the first ships to utilize the new UI HUD with internals for the thing, so you can go to the different decks or whatever. Or you can opt to go for a third choice. Now this one is... Well, I think the elevator in... If memory serves correctly, even this one in the elevator... Apologies for the camera occasionally juttering. I have no idea what that glitch is, but I don't know whether it's because I have Track IR software installed and it's like trying to sync to it or not, but it's weird. So you can obviously have the opportunity of going to the different decks. The rearmost elevator does have access to the cartography deck, which these two don't. But the third option, and for me, I kind of enjoy this option the most, is the service ladder. So the service ladder takes you up to the third floor, which is the one I'll take. I call this the Snake Eater route. Oh, is it not? I thought it took me up a bit further. Well, this is the furthest I can go. Why is it whenever I'm trying to show something off, my brain decides it wants to forget every single living thing about stuff? So this takes me up to the bridge, doesn't it? Yes, this is the third floor. Why does my brain fuck up like that? But this is the third and command floor section, which is nice. Arguably, my personal favorite way to control the ship. Now, you can control the ship in two ways. First of all, the commanding port over here, where, in my opinion, you kind of have access to... we'll be able... this is the display model, so it's probably a little bit more buggy. But basically, you have access to this kind of view when flying. And I kind of prefer this to when it comes to flying it. But, of course, you can go to the lower bridge, and you can obviously take the actual pilot seat, the dedicated, actually there pilot seat. But my only complaint with this pilot seat is your MFDs get in the way. And it kind of, it's really good, but it's kind of like it blocks the view. It kind of, this upper area here is kind of, basically it's in the way. And I kind of, like having the opportunity, and when you have the opportunity to fly the other version, I'm, quite a big fan of that. I feel like I have more control on the higher area, but that's just me personally. So going through, we have the two we're in the habitation deck, which of course has the lovely little gallery over there, and the real reason why I bought the ship was the pool table. No other reason. This ship was one of the first to incorporate a dedicated medical station. This was before the Cutty Red, and it does what it says on the tin. There's a few lower quality medical beds that once they implement lower quality medical beds in the game, they will be serving a purpose. But the real purpose is that you can in fact respawn one person after they have an unfortunate demise. It is arguably kind of like a little bit more useless considering the other ships. But yeah, there's the cartography deck, which is the rear of the ship, which at the moment hasn't really got a function. But when the exploratory role is developed even further, then we will be able to see the usage of the exploratory side of this ship being put to full use, which I'm hoping to see at some point in the future. How far? Probably quite a ways. There is also a docking collar, which until the docking becomes a thing in this game, oh, hello, pixelation. Very weird. Is kind of just there. This is what CRG is with docking at the moment. There you go. What's out there? Docking, but no one wants to talk about it. So there is the Karak, the gloriously large and gloriously glorious ship. Fantastic addition to anyone who wants to make a real go of it in the verse. Can also transport up to many vehicles, which is why it's useful as a transport vessel. And speaking of vessels that are very lovely, here's another one, the Hurricane. So the Anvil Hurricane is something that I've been able to utilize because I bought the Ares Inferno, and this is the ship that they give you as a sort of a loaner ship for the Ares Inferno. And I can say for certain that this ship in stock configuration is shit. At least with these two guns. Everything else is fine. It's not perfect. It can use upgrading. But the moment you buy this ship, you really need to spend some time getting whatever those things over there are. Because these two guns are fucking garbage. Scatter shotguns in Star Citizen are useless. Like, I'm gonna lay the lowdown now. I may be wrong about many things, and I'm not experienced in some regards, but I will tell you now, I believe this with 100% for certainty. Shotguns in Star Citizen, fucking useless. Just don't bother. When you get the ship, you will want to spend some time investing in some missions that aren't really combat orientated if this is your only ship. But if you do have a combat orientated ship, take that to combat until you can get the weapons that until you can replace these weapons, because they are absolutely foul and will not work. But anyway, that's besides the point. The other useful selling point of this ship, which eventually I'm hoping will become a slave turret system, is the tarantula turret machine guns, or what I call the Quad 50, in the back. You've got 4 tarantula, basically you've got a 50 cal machine. You've got a Quad 50. You've got you've got 4 rapid fire turrets. You've got a turret with 4 rapid fire machine guns. I can't remember the name of the weapons. I'm very bad with weapons in this game. I'm gonna dedicate New Year's resolution, dedicate time to learning all the different weapons and getting a bit better in PvP. I'm gonna try and, when I get my HOTAS system, that's when I'm gonna really start knuckling down on PvP into space with this game. But this is basically the Quad 50 at the moment is not slave turreted, which is a real shame. Though I think one day we could hope to see a slave turreting system to the pilot. At the moment, you need a friend in order to really make this ship work. But what I can tell you is that when you are in this thing, when you've got a friend, it works. Mwah, it works. You've got also access to 4 missiles. They are it's kind of in this case, they're just there. They're not that impressive. They kind of do the job that they need to do, but there's nothing else about them that makes them special. So, yeah. It's not that snazzy, I'll be honest with you. But anywho, let's make our way towards the Anvil Hawk. Now, the Anvil Hawk is a single-seat bounty hunting vessel. If you had to start out a bounty hunting career, then this is kind of a good ship to start from, and can see you through quite a lot. You can utilize it's sort of a less maneuverable but more hard hitting. I found that it felt very sluggish when I was flying it. And it looks pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of its overall design mechanics. It looks dope, but I'm not like in love with the design. The concept is basically you fly around with the means to stop vessels, capture preferably, but you can kill. It's got a number of size 1s as well, but again, it's with the weapon design and the schematics for the stock configuration kind of lend itself more to trying to capture your target alive. And then once you've done so, you can have what is known as the poop scoop, which is a little seating arrangement that you place your particular cargo into the back of, and they basically can live there. Or, if you are one of those particular people who have a certain kinks when it comes to traveling, you can as well travel in the poop scoop to whatever destination you have if the pilot is willing to take you on the journey. So it's not a bad looking ship. The way you can get into this thing is from the front. There's a little hatch that opens, and like the Gladiator and the Hurricane, you can get in vertically. So the MFDs on this are pretty good. I would say that's my personal favorite thing. The MFDs are laid out in my personal favorite manner because they're all within eye range. I kind of call this the sort of my own little secret rule, which is the eyeball MFD range or something along those lines. Basically, if I can see, I can enjoy a ship a lot more if I'm not using a track IR. If I can have all of the MFDs in my eye range without me having to physically move the camera to look at the particular MFDs. So that is a good selling point for any vessel out there. And so we come around to the smallest but the most useful of this particular room, which is the Anvil Pisces. This is the CS edition, like the slightly more combat-worthy edition. Just Expedition? Oh, wait, did I say? Yeah, C8X. Yeah, can't remember. My brain's being all fucked. So this is the Pisces edition. This is basically the little transporter vessel that you can, which is kind of comes with the Carrack, but is arguably, when I say the most useful ship in the room, I mean it. You can transport 2 people and a nice little plethora of cargo in here. Like, I think it's up to 2, or is it 4? I'm gonna lean on 2, but I also think it's 4, so it could just be that. The cargo bay can take up a nice little slot, and also If you're not taking cargo, but instead you're taking soldiers, this can also serve as a nice little landing transport if you're wanting to do like a Spec Ops mission or whatever. It's very small, very neat, handles like a dream actually, very nice, and it looks really pleasant. It's kind of like a baby carrack. Just, it's basically a baby carrack. Like a tadpole carrack, basically. The tadpole carrack. I hope that becomes a nickname one day. But anyway, so it is a very nice little ship. Very, very well worth having. If you don't have this in your arsenal, then I'd say get it, because it may not serve much of a purpose in now. But in the future, when you wanted to go from space to planet side in a vessel that is small, maneuverable, gets what it needs to done, and can get out without really putting too much of a signature out there, I can't think of a better ship. And I have witnessed with my own 2 eyes a Gladius get scared off by a friend of mine who'd customized his C8 Pisces and fought back against a Griefer. I'm sold on this usefulness of the ship. It just works. It just works so well. So, as we make our way down towards the holodeck, we are greeted by the Ballista. I remember when this thing first came into Star Citizen, everyone kind of had a big beef about it, because it was one of the first ground vehicles to really make an impact both on the ground and in the air. This is, of course, an anti-air ship. Yes, because it's a ship, because of wings. This is an anti-air ground transportation vehicle with a number of size... I think there's 2 size 9s on there, if I'm not mistaken. The rest of them are size 5s, but there's 2 size 9 anti-air missiles with a couple of size 2 Gatling guns. 2 crew of 2, gunner and driver. Driver has access to the remote turrets on the top. If you want to hop in. I'm gonna probably pop into the Arrow at the end of this thing, just because I'm kind of breaking my own rule, and I'm like, now, fuck it. So, when you get into the driver spot, you can get in and... you can, in fact, you can have the MFD. The MFDs are all right. They're in a pretty good position. Looks pretty cool. I'm not totally sure if a wheel's supposed to do that, but hey-ho. But the real selling point is when you access the remote turret. Now, the remote turret, especially now since they've Okay, that looks like rough geometry. My eyes are wide with anticipation. Oop, there's me coming out. But no, so basically, the Anvil Ballista, in terms of driving, you want to kind of be in the gunner's view, because the gunner view has a nice 360-degree turning angle, and it is the first to react to any ground-based threats. Once you're in position, you can... I don't think you can deploy these stilts. I don't think they work at the moment. But basically, you move into position, missiles lock onto a target, and boom, target destroyed. I don't have this vehicle because I don't really need a ground transport vehicle that blows shit up from space, because the amount of how much this is used in actual practicality is very limited. You destroyed a few of these when they were new, as like in terms of practice in BSI. But in terms of actual, practical, enjoyable, blah, 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 no. No. Not really a practical vehicle at this time. But in the future, hopefully. So I'm going to just pop over to the other side just to see if there is any sign of anything else. No, it looks like that is just filler. Yeah, that's just filler. So what we're going to do now is going to go once again to the holodecks to introduce ourselves to another vessel, and a new vessel, the one that I actually haven't really heard of, again, under my radar, is this thing. The Nautilus. The Nautilus. No. What is this thing? Crucible. The Crucible. So this is what it will look like in game. Okay, no, tell a lie. I have heard of this thing, but I've only seen it in concept art footage. I'm not a huge fan of how they've arrayed this particular ship so that we can't actually see the full thing. But basically what this ship intends to do is it's a dedicated repair ship. Like if in the yesterday's video you saw the Aegis Vulcan is basically a minor repairer, like a small repair and refuel ship that kind of basically goes over to it and basically puts a couple of bolts in to the ship to try and fix it up and maybe refuels it. This is a dedicated platform that ships will go to be fully repaired. Like, I can, like, you basically, if you own this, you're in orbit over Hurston, and a ship that's taken a massive beating is being dragged into port. You can basically, this can act like a mobile space dock, which also could, I'm wondering, be potentially utilized as a space dock away from the stations in Star Citizen, because this thing practically serves the same purpose. Yes, it's not, for quote, designed for such a thing, but I can imagine some people are basically going to be like, come to Trader Joe's where we've got a spaceport and it can fix your ship and you can sell stuff. This is very, very cool. It looks very funky, I'm not going to lie, and judging by the turret defenses and other stuff, it's going to be quite a large vessel. I mean, obviously, it's designed to take bigger ships. So I'm very curious to see what kind of potential this ship could, this kind of ship in the verse will be. And this is arguably the end goal of anyone wanting to. Lol, the hologram sticks out beyond the lines.
I can touch it.
But no, this is the kind of the peak point of the repairer or the mechanic line of thinking when it comes to Star Citizen. Like, imagine the possibilities of someone being able to play this game, seeing all of the wonders of the verse, get injured, you know, have a ship that's slightly damaged or is heavily damaged from whatever kind of stuff you're getting up to, and you park your Carrack in that. I'm very curious, and I'm very excited to see that in the verse, but at the moment we could only look at it, this hologram, and just wonder, as most of our ships will have to do. But no, we're getting there, guys. Come on, positive thinking. A lot of ships that we didn't think were possible to come into Star Citizen are being released, so keep the faith alive, and we'll be able to see that thing in the verse very soon. I'm sure of it. This is really nice music. It's like slight offshoot, but still very nice music. Anyway, going on to probably the most iconic part of Anvil Aerospace, at least until the Carrack came out, is, of course, the F7 Hornet series. This is, of course, the F7 Super Hornet, with its dual pilots. Got a pilot at the front and co-pilot in the back, who controls the size 1 turret, but when you are on your own in this vessel, the turret is slave to the pilot, which is very nice. But let's go to the bog standard edition, just to highlight what this thing is to start with. So this was one of the sort of the selling points of Star Citizen way back when. This was like a very early design of ships in the verse with Star Citizen, and you can kind of see that. Its weapons mountings are very simple. It looks very bulky and very sort of blocky. It has its sort of own little charm. People have talked about this thing being sort of like the X-Wing of Star Citizen. I would say the Super Hornet is, yeah, a good comparison as an X-Wing. But I'm like kind of hoping. Oh, hello. This one has my attention. Which version of this Hornet is there? Come on. Is this like the Stalker variant? But this one is definitely the one I like a lot more. F7A. Ah, yes, the upgraded edition. And you can tell the difference between the F7 and the F7As. This is probably the current flying model, and this one looks a lot sleeker, a lot more sexier, much better armed, has the sort of unique rear part of the ship. Again, I'm not like, I like this design. I'm not against it, but I'd say there are better designs, but this one definitely does. I don't know why I have not noticed this before. I've no idea why I haven't noticed this before. I know that in certain shows they have certain things, but I think now that with this particular event they can actually really bring out all their guns, I like this design. There's a definite plus for me on that design, especially since this design looks a lot more like a more modernized version of the ship. And I'm hoping to see more of these sort of things, though, looking really, really pleasant. This probably is something that the UEE is currently utilizing with most of its fighter corps. Sort of maybe the entrance sort of ships. But the F7 Hornet series is, of course, not just limited to fighters. There are also the Ghost variant, which is the stealth variant of the ship, which has not many weapons, but is designed to try and get in and out of areas without being detected, though its design, frame, and everything else kind of makes it a bit difficult to accomplish that sort of style, which is a bit of a shame. And this variant, the Hornet Tracker, is, of course, as you can tell by its very big sensor on the top, as a very ugly looking This pretty terrifyingly ugly looking sensor at the bottom as well. The ship is not designed for combat. It is merely designed to spot targets from very far away. So, yeah, fair enough. It's a Hornet. It's basically the same ship with a different chassis. So, hopping over to the far side, we will have a look at the more customized variant of the Hornet, the Wildfire variant, which was based off a famous pilot who flew her, and she was able to make a pretty damn good impression, enough for her to get her own version of the Hornet. I'll do some more research on the character, because I think she was, it's been a while since I've read into this, but I think this was related to the war against the Tavaran, and how she basically was able to basically fly in, do some extremely amazing, like basically destroy a critical target in, I believe, the first Tavaran war. At this point, I'm just going to stop talking about that sort of thing. I know it's based off a famous character in lore, and that her variant was the more up-tiered version of this ship. Doesn't look as good as the F1A, but still, S7A, but still, very, very potently dangerous ship. And of course, the F7CM Super Hornet. F7C representing civilian. So, as you can see, very, very nice looking ship. And again, this is like the best of the, I think I quote, the better one of the ships. The problem is with me though, and again, this is the thing, is there is a gimbaled, this little bottom section is gimbaled, but you have only size 1s. You do have a size 2 Gatling gun, but it's just size 1 on the top, size 1 on the bottom. They're gimbaled, but they look really nasty, like especially underneath. Like that one's forgivable, that looks okay, but this just looks absolutely atrocious in my eye. Really ugly kind of thing, and it's just a bit like, like, and you'd think with something of this size, you could be able to attach something larger, but no, you can't. So, again, the Hornet series is good, but there are things about it I'm not a huge fan of. I'd rather take the F7A, just because, you know, I like it. I mean, the F7A is obviously military designation, so unfortunately I don't think we'll gain access to this absolute beauty, but, oh boy. That's a good looking ship. But we're on our way, we're going to leave this little room and make our way to the far side, because there is a little gem which we're going to be introducing ourselves to, and I can say for certain I'm quivering with excitement. I won't lie. I'm going to change my positioning of my headphones to try and ensure that I don't get the police called on me, because I am going to become very much dumb when I see the absolute beauty. And depending on what I can do with said absolute, I can't look. I can't look. It's too beautiful. I love it. I've got my hand on my right side of my face because I just can't look at how fucking sexy that is. Anyway, so going over to the other ships. This is the Terrapin. It is a reconnaissance style transport vessel. I say transport, it's more dedicated for reconnaissance, but you can transport a few guys if you want to, though it's not really its intended role. This is more like for long-range recon and exploration, is what I wanted to say. Not much in the terms of the defense, but it looks really menacing. I like this design mechanic. It kind of feels, well, it looks as heavy as it feels. It feels, you know, when you looks at it, you think, Jesus Christ, this is a fucking heavy ship. And I reckon it is. And I like it because of that. It's got a low profile as well. So if you want to be a bit discreet in your actions, it also does that as well. Again, it's not really got much use at the moment, sadly, alongside the Carrack. In fact, it has less uses than the Carrack, because the Carrack, while that can transport troops, can transport vehicles, can transport cargo, this can't really transport anything of note, which is a bit of a shame. But I do like the mechanics of what it's intended for, and I do hope one day that this ship will get the maximum kind of usage that it deserves. So, going on to one of the ships that I am seriously considering eyeing up, I'm just looking at the budget. This is the Anvil Valkyrie, which looks like it's actually got a fucking light for once, which is amazing. This is the Anvil Valkyrie troop transport ship. It is sexy incarnate. You've got VTOL thrusters, massive robot. Yeah, you've got a turret on the front. You've got remote control turrets on the sides as well, which is just glorious. You've got side panel access here for the troops to be able to get into. One of my favorite things, of course, is the cargo bay. It's got the most friendly cargo bay doors heading up into this thing, and you've got 2 platoons worth of rooms for soldiers to get into, as you can see here. One to the left, oops, get off the ladder, and one to the right, which is lovely. So this is the display model, so it doesn't work as effectively, but basically when this door opens, this machine gun comes out, the size 1 Gatling gun, which can provide support to your soldiers. Obviously, locker rooms for weapons racks and all the like. So because of the design mechanics of this ship, you can have 2 dedicated floors, one for the crew to work on, and one for the people who are being transported to work on. You can fit multiple vehicles into this cargo bay, Ursas. You can fit obviously the Shaikroons, and I'm hoping one day to fit some ROCs into it. Looking at the underside, I have to do a test. I'd have to do a test. I might rent this vehicle and just to do like a fly around just to see if it's worth getting this thing. But I do want this vessel. It's a fantastic ship. And with BSI, we use, you know, this might sound like, oh, you don't want to tell them that, but I'm fairly certain everyone knows this. We use these vehicles for deploying large numbers of troops into combat, or if we're doing training runs with vehicles. It's the vehicle to go for. So going on to the second floor, we have the sort of the little bay for people to have a shower in or whatever, so so you can survive for a longer period of time. Rearmost turret up at the top. You've got access quarters for crew. You can tell which one's the pilot's seat. There's also access to the remote turrets on the side, and then finally you've got the pilot's seat, which has really a fantastic view. Nice little separated category. It does unfortunately have the issue, almost, but yeah, it does. They almost get it right, but there's these 2 MFDs that you do need to look at in order to get the information. So if you are flying this thing, prioritize your first 4 to the important ones to these 4 MFDs, and then any ancillary options like targeting awareness or map navigation, you just have to just deal with and just sort of go, nah, it's fine. But no, the cockpit view is fantastic, and apart from that, it's got a nice, I should have looked upwards as well. There is a nice little vertical view, a few struts around here and there, but it does the job. And yeah, there it is, Valkyrie Anvil Aerospace. It looks lovely, and I'm very much eyeing this up. I'm kind of wondering for my second profession, like my first profession is kind of like PMC, but if I was ever to have a second profession, I'm either going with mining or I'm going with troop transporter, and this ship puts a very good, strong, very strong category of troop transporter in my second career role, but we'll see. So now comes the beauty, the beast, the sexy goddess, the captain, my captain, the beautiful, absolutely goddamn gorgeous Areospace F8. And can I get in? I can get in. I can get in, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, baby. That's nice. Wow, that's really cool. Looks so nice. The view. I've not been in this one eternally, but oh my god, this looks so nice, and it looks almost like it's finished. Huh. This is a fantastic thing. Let's power it on. Oh yeah, display model, can't do anything special. So it looks really nice. The view from the cockpit is actually, and this is the first time for me, so this is a completely blind thing, but the view looks really good. Definitely feels nice for that one. So a little look around. And in terms of weapon points, this is of course the latest. What? No way. No way. No way. Don't tell me I can. Don't tease me, Star Citizen. I can't deal with this. Why are you showing me this option? Can I rent this thing? Seriously? Don't do this to me, Star Citizen. I want to fly this thing. Let me fly it, you fucks. You've got so many fucking weapons and missiles and everything. Let me rent this fucking girl. You bastards. Oh, why? Why? Why do you mock me so? Why do you mock me with such beauty? And then you're like, you can't fly it. Fuck you. Oh, God, I want to fly this thing so fucking badly. Like, seriously, if someone came over to me and said, okay, so you have a choice. Melt all your ships and get one of these things, or, you know, or not, I'll be like, where do I sign the bill? Where do I sign the dotted line? This is just fucking beautiful ship. The F8, as I said, like, returning to a sense of composure, the F8 Lightning is basically the latest in line of, like, it's currently the serving ship for the UEE Navy. It is, I think it's in an early, it must be a new ship, or it's like an early configuration, but it's not as common, but it's still there. Like, there's a number of squadrons that utilize this, and it is fantastic to look at. It's heavy hitting. It's apparently very maneuverable. I've seen, like, I haven't seen the footage of it, but when someone in Invictus Day nicked one of these and flew it around, oh, fucking triple engine. They basically were more maneuverable than, like, our top dogfighters, which is mental. You've got size 2 missiles on the sides. You've got numerous fucking weapons scattered about. Oh, I call this the Jug because it looks so fucking glorious and it has such amazing firepower. And I'm just like, oh, my insides are wet because they're just so good looking shit. Oh, it's so good. Oh, I'm about to simp. It's such a good looking ship. Ah, I want it, Gib. Oh, God. So I'm going to have to change my uniform now. There's just this guy with a giant wet stain all around his trousers because of just how much he wants this fucking ship. Oh, I want it so bad. They should put a caution wet floor sign next to the thing because of how much we want it. It's like a 50 Shades of Grey section when it first came out. No one knew what kind of amazing power that thing has. Oh my God. Anyway, enough of the slightly disturbing tones. Let's finish up with a nice little petite ship known as the Aero. As I did say, I needed to get into the cockpit of this thing. Oh, I can rent this fucking ship, of course. Come on. Come on. You know you want to be... Now you're playing hard to get because you know you're not an Anvil 8. You're not an Anvil F8. Well, that's great. I can open the canopy, but I can't get in, you see. It's just playing hard to get now, isn't it? It's like, I'm not Anvil Aerospace F8, so you can fuck yourself. There we go. So, this, of course, is the little demon. The not the F8. I wish it was a fucking F8. But this is the Arrow. Very, very tiny. Very tiny. But a very nice little ship. Incredibly maneuverable. Incredibly... and when I say maneuverable, I literally... When you press the Q button when you're flying around, it's like you're a tornado. You're like... It's ridiculous. It's a really... I really liked flying this ship. But I'm not a dogfighting pilot yet. So I can't, like, use it as it's intended. So if I bought it, it would be in my hangar, just sitting there twiddling its thumbs. So, yeah, it's not what I would say is the perfect perfect vehicle for me. But, regardless of that, yeah, it wants me out. Like, if you're not a dogfighting pilot, fuck off. So anyway, the F8 Arrow, though, the Arrow is still a very beautiful plane, and if you're interested in sort of hit-and-run light fighters with the potential to do a lot of damage to your opponents, I could very much recommend it. Though, unfortunately, I cannot really say anything I probably should have said this at the beginning, that I cannot really say anything for this ship in terms of PvP because I don't really do PvP. I mainly am a PvE player, but I can recommend this ship if you enjoy a fast, nimble ship. And that brings to a close Anvil for Anvil's Day. A brilliant, fantastic show with one of the sexiest transport ship and the sexiest transport ship and the sexiest fighter of all time, and one that I am eternally asking Star Citizen to release, or to more preferably Gib. It's just even if it was like during the Anvil during this IAE, if we had the opportunity to fly the F8, oh my god, I would be so happy. Even if it was just, where's the bin? It would just be so lovely. Oh, hang on, just put this in the bin. There you go. But yeah, like, it's a fantastic, like, ship, which I'm very much eager to have a look at and have a play around, and I would spend hundreds of pounds just to get it, because it's such a good-looking ship, and I'm so happy to see that. But anyway, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Apologies that the second episode came out a little bit bodged up and a little bit like lastminute.com. Work schedules and other stuff just kind of meant that it was a bit awkward. So hopefully the next one is going to be good. Apologies also for the quietness of the first episode. I've thought my microphone would, like my Rode NT USB microphone would have worked a little better, but it actually isn't as good. It was really quiet, and I'm like, I don't know how to get rid of the echo in a weird way. So anyway, that's the thing I'll be working on. But I'll see you guys in the next episode. This is Mr. Jaeger signing out. Ah, lovely little. Oh. Okay. That was the weirdest breakup I ever saw. Oh no, they've broken up. Oh god, commentary's cursed. I'm so sorry. I'll leave.